Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MIT Master of Finance webinar for Future Quants. My name is Diane Jordan, and I have the privilege of being the Associate Director of Admissions and honored to be hosting this event with our esteemed finance faculty and Assistant Dean of the MFin program. This is a milestone for the MFin program as we celebrate 10 years of providing a finance education that is global, rigorous, and adaptive. MFin carries with it a legendary reputation, world-renowned faculty, and innovative hands-on learning experiences in a top-ranked early-stage finance degree. The program is adaptive to meet your specific requirements across a broad range of career opportunities. Today, we are really going to focus on your career opportunities in quantitative finance. There's a lot of information to share with you today. So before we get started, a few housekeeping notes. We will take your questions through the online chat and respond to them at the end of the session or webinar. We would be grateful if you could ask questions that would be of interest to everyone. Please also make sure to mute your audio and turn off any video. This webinar will be recorded and posted on our website for future reference. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our Assistant Dean of the Master of Finance program, Heidi Pickett.
Great, thank you, Diane, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's session. We're delighted to be able to talk to you about our Master of Finance program, and in particular about the curriculum and the opportunities for those of you who want to be future quants. So as Diane mentioned, I'm the Assistant Dean of the Master of Finance program. I joined this program 8 years ago, and bringing nearly 20 years of industry experience, and I'm delighted to be working with our students today alongside with our faculty. And so MFin is everything you would expect from MIT. We have a global reputation, and certainly world-renowned faculty. If you're going to study finance, there is no better place than to study finance at MIT. And of course, we are known for our very rigorous curriculum, as well as industry knows that we have a rigorous curriculum, and that when you come here and study with us, you're going to be well prepared to be successful in your careers. So what I'd like to do is actually start with the career outcomes that our students have been successful at. So here's just a very small sample of some of the hiring employers that hired our students for internships, for full-time opportunities. Here's a sample of job titles that are particularly focused in quantitative finance. I think you should be impressed by the range of these names, very strong brands across all the banks, some of the most prestigious hedge funds. Of course, this is a very small sample. This is MIT. We really have amazing industry partnerships and relationships. Employers want to come to campus to meet our students. They want our students to go to them to get lots of opportunities in terms of what it's like to work in this very evolving field of quantitative finance. So how do you get these opportunities? Well, you come to MIT and you study in our Master of Finance program. And we're based on the pillars of our academic excellence, our world-renowned faculty, hands-on action learning, and the MIT experience. And we're going to touch upon these categories and these pillars. At a high level, our Master of Finance program features STEM classification. That's very important as an international student, but equally important for anybody joining us from the US. This STEM classification really is a testament to the rigor and application of our finance studies here. Our program is quite flexible. You can have a 12-month experience or an 18-month experience. And I will talk about the differences of those two options. You can have a further deep dive into concentrations, and we're going to talk specifically about the financial engineering concentration in depth. And you can also participate in one of our certificates. In addition to achieving a Master of Finance degree, you could also combine that with something like along the lines of business analytics. So moving on to do a little bit more about the two program options, the 12-month and the 18-month. So same degree, same STEM curriculum requirements. Both formats begin together on July 1st with orientation and then a summer term where you're going to get a deep grounded foundation in financial mathematics, finance theory, as well as financial accounting. Both tracks 12 and 18, you're able to participate in a concentration as well as a certificate, and also all students are eligible to complete a master's thesis. So what's different about these two options? So in the 12-month option, you're going to join us for 3 consecutive terms, summer, fall, and spring. It's going to be a fast-paced experience, but you're still going to get a great solid foundation. You're going to get access to our career advising and resources. We're going to help you find the right full-time opportunity when you graduate in June. For the 12-month, you're going to be here for 4 consecutive terms. You're going to start in the summer, do your fall, spring, and then you're able to conduct an internship. And then you'll return for an additional fall term where you can take extra courses, you could write a thesis, you can participate in research opportunities. It's really flexible in terms of how you would like to spend your extra term. Again, you would have access to our dedicated career development advisors and resources to help you find that right summer internship, and then as well as the full-time opportunity once you graduate in the following February. So lots of different options that really depends on the experience that you're looking for. And once you join MIT, curriculum is always at the center, first and foremost. We want you to be well prepared to have a successful career once you graduate. But then there's a whole ecosystem surrounding that to really round out your experience while you're here. And everything from dedicated career support, we have industry field trips. We have a New York Finance Day hosted by the Barclays Quantitative Trading Desk. Bank of America Merrill Lynch hosts our students on site for quantitative finance panels with their hedge fund clients. So lots of different opportunities. Companies are always come to campus to share their experiences as well as opportunities to engage with them while you're here at MIT or once you graduate and potentially join one of their firms. In addition to all of the career support you receive, you also have personalized advising to help you make the most of your experience while you're at MIT. Lots of social events, lots of student clubs. To touch upon a few of the select ones, we have a quantitative finance club, a club for machine learning, investment management, data analytics, Sloan Coders, just to name a few. We have over 80 clubs. For those of you that are interested in the quantitative nature, I selected these to highlight. We have a very well-known investment management conference where students can participate in terms of bringing in industry speakers and interacting with industry as well as other students and colleagues across MIT. And we also have a lab for financial engineering, which is another great opportunity to learn about cutting-edge research that our faculty are conducting. There's never a day while you're at MIT when there's not an event taking place, an industry speaker, club activities, recruiting events. There's just so much to take advantage of while you're here. And then when you want to get away from campus, we also have study tours to help you advance your knowledge in finance as well as meet and expand your network with industry experts. And one of our most popular study tours is our Asia Finance Study Tour. So that gives you a little bit of a sense of sort of the experience to help you invest in your future, be successful in your career. Of course, to get there, it takes academics, and academics are taught by world-renowned faculty. These are the inventors of modern finance. These are professors that have developed the theories and practices that are used in industry today. So if you're going to use these practices, there's no better place than to learn from those who created them. And I'm pleased to be joined today by 2 of our faculty members, Professor Wei Chen, who is our faculty director, who's going to talk to you a little bit more about the curriculum and the academic experience and the whole range of quantitative courses that we offer to help you structure curriculum. and is also joined by Professor Gita Rao, who's on our finance faculty, teaches one of our capstone courses, which is the Finance Research Practicum, which is a great opportunity to learn practical skills that allow you to practice what you've learned in the classroom, working with really a large range of prestigious firms and really helping them to solve problems. And you'll hear more about that course as well as some of the projects that our students have worked on in the past. So at this point, let me turn it over to Professor Chen.
Okay, thanks, Heidi. Hope everybody can hear us clearly. There's no issues with the audio or anything. Okay, good. So hello everybody, my name is Wei Chen, as Heidi mentioned just now. I'm a finance faculty member here at Sloan. I've been at Sloan for a little bit over 10 years now, and it's great to have this opportunity to talk to you about what the MFin program has to offer, especially for students who are having a strong interest in quantitative career in finance. So I know that you're all very eager to, be envisioning that one day you'll be standing in front of a recruiter or future employer about the presenting the kind of skill sets you can offer. I think my job today is mainly to explain to you what we have to offer to get you there, and I kind of view our curriculum as offering three main things, right? So we think to become a successful quantitative analyst or researcher in the finance field, we think there are three things that are very important. One is, of course, the quantitative skills itself, which I don't think is surprising to anybody, that you need to have solid training in quant skills that are particularly relevant for finance. And the second thing that is just as important is an understanding of the finance economics of the markets. Right? So how the tunneling of the markets are done, why certain regulations are typically in place, and how should the finance professionals think about them. And thirdly, and certainly not the last, but just as important, is the communication skills. As a quantitative researcher or analyst, you should be able to effectively communicate to both quant person as well as a non-quant audience about what you're doing or what you're seeing in terms of trends in the market and so on. And really our curriculum is designed to try to fill in on these three fronts to make you better prepared for the future career. So if you can look at the kind of a pretty crowded slide here on the academic offerings we have, this is really just highlighting the main courses we have to offer. There are many other courses not listed on this slide. If we can start from the left side where the summer semester is listed over there, out of the gate, we're already seeing the flexibility that our program is providing, right? So you can see that besides the finance theory, corporate financial accounting, there are two versions of the financial mathematics classes. For those of you who, I imagine many of you today are interested in quant field because you have quite a bit of preparation already in financial mathematics or stochastic calculus or differential equations and so on. We actually designed the curriculum such that we can put you in a classroom with people or students with a similar background, so that you know that you're being exposed to the level of material that is suitable for your background. And in fact, you'll be able to get more exposure to type of materials that will really help you to take courses later on. So that kind of flexibility and kind of fine calibration, if you want, is already happening at the very beginning of our curriculum. And then moving on to the fall term, you see that there are core courses required in financial markets, advanced corporate finance, and finance ethics. But beyond that, there's actually quite a long list of finance electives that are concentrating on quantitative skills as well. So the most obvious one probably is that sitting on the top of the list there is financial engineering. And actually, I want to use this opportunity to talk a little bit about maybe a little bit difference in terms of taking a financial engineering course in here at Sloan versus some other programs you might be thinking about. So when you're taking financial engineering, you might be thinking about how we are solving, derivative pricing problems, or maybe, trying to figure out how to use, Black-Scholes kind of paradigm to do hedging and pricing. But if you sort of think about how the gap between the theory and the finance practice is really, I think, understanding what kind of market frictions out there that prevents you from sort of operating in the ideal world that these classic theories are based on. So the financial engineering course that we are offering here very much emphasizes the kind of market frictions that the day-to-day kind of operations in the finance world actually confronts. And in order to understand what's the best practice there, you have to understanding where the class theory, the limitations is. And that is something that is not going to be so easy to pick up from a textbook or for the matter from any just typical course in financial engineering. And the faculty who are teaching these courses are the ones who bringing in years of experience in research, in consulting, in working with the industry professionals that actually have thought about these problems very, very seriously. And we certainly want our students to think about them very, very seriously from day one as well. So that's kind of a typical example I would like to keep in mind in terms of how our program offers the courses, even if they are under the same name, right? It will still be in terms of content quite a bit distinct. Moving on to the winter term, I'll leave the very exciting part of our program to Professor Rao, who's going to talk to you a little bit later about the finance research practicum. This is really one of the cornerstones of the program where our quantitatively interested students can really benefit in terms of putting their skills onto real life projects. Moving on to spring term, so actually I'm one of the faculty members kind of teaching the analytics finance and advanced analytics finance course here. So again, the reason that these two courses are listed in parallel is because we're customizing these courses to suit the students with different needs. So for example, in advanced analytics finance, we assume the students already come in with a good training in statistics, in probability, so that they can actually be put on a more accelerated projectile on getting more exposed to the modern techniques in analytics, such as machine learning, natural language processing, and deep learning, and so on. And then there are many other courses, again, in the spring semester that you could choose that expose you to both, quantitative tool sets, as well as getting you more exposed to the markets, understanding of the nitty-gritty details of the markets. And then for those who are pursuing an 18-month program, there are additional courses you can take, as well as the option of doing a thesis, where you can really do a deep dive into the subject you're interested in. Perhaps you come into something that you're very passionate about from a summer internship. In fact, I'm working with a student doing exactly that right now, who had found a passion in portfolio optimization, and we're doing a kind of a thesis with him, pursuing some research ideas he had from the internship. So that is definitely available, especially a great opportunity for students who are research inclined. Now, let me move on to the next slide about the particular courses that might not have been listed, or at least not all of them have been listed on the previous slide. So I know that quite a few of you might be interested in pursuing analytics, in particular applying modern analytics tools to finance. That is definitely one of the fields we're seeing a lot of demand from both the students and the employers. Here are just a few of the courses we're listed over here. Some of them you saw on the previous slide as well, starting with the financial data science and computing, analytics edge, and machine learning. So by the way, those of you who are not familiar with the numbering system, the course numbers starting with 15 are the courses offered by Sloan. And then numbers starting with 6 is offered by the computer science department. One of the more popular courses that we are seeing that our students are taking is A62, which is Introduction to Machine Learning, offered by the computer science departments. If you had the passion in machine learning or analytics applied to finance, you will have a lot of the people who are pursuing exactly the same career path as well. And then finally, very excitingly, actually, I can tell you that we are offering this new elective called Advanced Data Analytics and Machine Learning in Finance, taught by 2 industry leaders, actually, in the field. They are offering this course for the very first time this fall, and we have already had a very long list of waiting list, in fact, of students who want to get into the course. So this is actually generating a lot of buzz right now, and we certainly would like to get you interested in that as well. And just to give you a taste, not to beat the horse to that, but if you can look at the next slide here in the data science computing, really there's so much more we can offer. I just kind of want you to put you in the shoes of a student at MIT, right? So imagine that if you really feel passionate about a particular field, such as data science and computing, you really can take a deep dive with a very customized curriculum here. So besides taking the core requirements in finance, you can really kind of design a curriculum that is suitable for your interests. For example, besides taking those intro machine learning courses, let's say, for example, you're really interested in tax show analysis, right? You want to analyze corporate financial filings and try to extract useful signals from there. You can see the kind of depth that the MIT course can offer. It'd be hard to actually imagine that you can actually have such flexibility as well as the opportunities to be exposed to this kind of training that is in such depth into a particular field. And then last but not least, you can see that we can actually provide you with training at the PhD level as well, meaning the PhD courses in finance and economics, econometrics, statistics. Every year we have students who are interested in pursuing potentially a career in academic career, or for that matter, a research career in the industry. And they express strong interest in taking PhD course from the beginning, early on. So that's something that we very much encourage as well. Okay, in terms of the concentrations, you can find more about these requirements in the field. In particular, for those in the audience today, I want just to highlight the financial engineering concentration. This is really, to put simply, right, a kind of device we have designed to basically gather students of a quant interest together. They will be, required to take some courses, but mostly the really is a way to, find people who have shared the same passion like you and take courses together, do projects together, pursue certain kind of research opportunities together, maybe be part of the clubs together, which you see that we actually have quite a few of these quant-oriented clubs at MIT. And then lastly, I guess I want to mention one more thing, which is the kind of the research opportunities that MIT provides. So if you go to the next slide about MIT Quest for Intelligence, this is one of the most exciting sort of institute initiatives that every single department at MIT is involved in. I mentioned at the beginning that the finance field, right, to the extent that they apply these advanced techniques to finance, it presents really a very unique set of challenges. For those of you who may have taken, say, a intro to machine learning course, either on your own or at your current institute, you might already be thinking about how to say, apply a predictive algorithm to try to model returns in the market and design your own trading strategies. But really, there are so many unique challenges that in practice you have to encounter. I kind of listed the picture here. On the right-hand side, you can see that this is actually one of the famous papers in machine learning from 2018. The short story basically is that the algorithms that people are designing nowadays can actually achieve very high accuracy in predicting what these pictures are showing you, to the extent that you don't mess up with these pictures, right? And this is basically the so-called one pixel attack. You can see that in every single picture, there is one white dot if you look closely enough. And it turns out that as long as you put that one white dot to quote unquote mess up with the pictures, these algorithms all fall apart very dramatically. You can see the black symbols are showing you what the correct answer should be, and the yellow ones are what the algorithm tell you with very high confidence. And of course, the answer is all wrong. So this is basically showing you that, in a way, to me, it's kind of highlighting the challenge of the finance very uniquely, because you're dealing with the environment where people are interacting with each other. They are not going to be all the time collaborating. In fact, it's very much a game theoretical environment where people are trying to mess up with each other's strategies and so on and so forth. And that is kind of the main challenge in a way the current machine learning techniques are facing. And for that matter, you can actually join our faculty across institute. I listed over here some of the research projects that our faculty are taking on, but there are really many more across the institute. You can really be part of that class and pushing the frontier in research. So with that, let me hand it over to Professor Rao, who is going to tell you a lot more about hands-on action learning.
Thank you, Wei. Hello, everyone. I'm Geeta Rao, and I teach in the finance group. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a truly unique opportunity that we have here at MIT for our Master of Finance or MFin students. MIT really invented something called action learning. The institute has had this since its founding, in 1861. The idea being, as an engineering school, they said, we need our students to not just learn concepts and theories, we need them to go out and apply them. And so there is a period of time called independent activities period in January when students are encouraged. There's no formal class work, and you're encouraged to engage in project-based learning. So you will encounter a lot of project offerings at other schools. There's no doubt about it, and they are meaningful, they're substantive. I'm here to tell you about what we have developed here at MIT, at Sloan in these last 10 years for our MFins. This is very much tailored to the needs of MFins. And in what way is it tailored? These are live projects that are being posed by a very strong, deep list of sponsors with whom we have had relationships. The Institute and Sloan has had relationships for decades. I've got a few examples that I'm going to go through. These are small teams, so there'll be typically 3 to 4 students. It's a very deep dive. I do the faculty instruction, so I teach you how to do research. I teach you how to think about methodology, how to analyze the data, how to validate it, and finally, really how to communicate it. That's a very, very big part. I think Professor Chen mentioned it's kind of the third leg of the stool. You can be very bright, you can know a lot, you can put it into practice, but being able to communicate it effectively, technical material, is a skill that has to be learned. And that's one thing that we focus on that is a core element of our action learning program, and specifically of the practicum. Let's just go on now. I will talk to you a little bit about give you some examples of the kinds of sponsors we have and the kinds of projects we have and how they would help you as an MFin student coming in. Heidi, you can correct me, but I think about a third of our MFin students come in straight from college with the work experience is summer internships. So what the practicum allows you to do is to engage with corporate sponsors, and there's a very wide range of these. They are firms that are, there are hedge funds, there are asset managers, very large asset managers, Fidelity, Blackrock, Wellington, a whole bunch of those. There are trading desks, there is, and a range of other kinds of financial institutions. And what we are doing there is, I'm working with these sponsors to develop research problems that you're going to work on very intensively for the month of January and part of February. And you will really learn how to extract data, how to look at it, how to analyze it, and then how to present it. This is a skill that is very hard to learn in a classroom setting. So I cannot overemphasize how much our students say this has helped them, both in terms of their own knowledge, their confidence when it comes to recruiting, and frankly, in terms of how to learn to network. Networking is an overused term. And the true effective networking is when you have learned deeply about a subject and you can talk about it with confidence to somebody else in the space. That's when effective networking can take place. So we would be happy to connect you with students who've taken the class, and they can talk to you about their experience and how it has helped them in terms of learning and in terms of recruiting. So I'm going to now spend a little bit of time talking about, giving you a flavor for some of the projects. Blackrock has been a sponsor since the start of the class, which was 9 years ago. And they typically sponsor 2 projects a year. the students are taken on site to New York. So they sit on the desk there in fixed income or in equity, depending on where the project is. Very simply, when you look at an index, whether it's any kind of equity index, say it's the Morgan Stanley All Country World Index, the typical method of grouping stocks is by sector or region or country. This is the standard method used. So we would look at Chinese stocks or Japanese stocks or US stocks, or we may look at the global healthcare sector or the global energy sector and so on. There has been a lot of work done on using other ways of clustering that will allow us to create portfolios that have a better risk-adjusted return profile. And one of these is hierarchical risk parity, where weights are assigned to stocks based not on their membership in some kind of index, how large they are, but really on how much they contribute to the risk in a portfolio. So the kinds of skills that are developed are, number one, you learn a lot about just how indexes are constructed, how these markets work. Number two, how to cluster. So the clustering literature is very rich, very deep. It overlaps with statistics, with machine learning. The third thing you will learn is programming skills in Python or in R. The data is all available at MIT. We have a very rich set of data here. We're fortunate in that. The Institute, one of the things you'll realize when you get here is you have no lack of data. The question is figuring out what to do with it. So that's another big benefit. So that's one project. The second one was very different, and this was for Lazard Asset Management here in Boston, their quantitative group. And they wanted the students to look at some databases that you are probably familiar with, one of them being Glassdoor, another one being Indeed, and the third one being Fairy God Boss. Now, Fairy God Boss is a relatively new site, but it basically is where women employees post reviews about their companies. These are employee reviews. Indeed is the largest. It has a huge number of reviews, probably about 3 million, 4 million. And it covers, small and large companies. So people who are working at McDonald's, at Target, at Home Depot. It's all US based though. And then you have Glassdoor, which many of you I'm sure have looked at, many if not all of you, which has reviews of, for example, consulting firms, but also corporate reviews. So the idea was, this is real time. This was a database of, I think, about, the total database was about 6 million reviews, but the students cut it down to about 3 million. Using big data and scraping to pull down these reviews and look at, are they giving us some real-time sense for how companies are treating their employees? Does this workplace satisfaction translate into anything that we can add to what we already know about how the company operates? Does it impact the stock return? Does it impact the risk profile? So what do you learn from this? Number one, you learn a lot about big data. Number two, you're using machine learning and distance algorithms for these tests. So those are two very powerful things you're learning. And number three, you're actually learning about things like the data shift API for LinkedIn, which is a really powerful way to extract data from extremely large databases. This project, we pulled in some people from course 6 as well. This is the computer science department to help out. And so there was some cross department learning that took place. The last one, it was for the fixed income trading desk at HSBC. They're a very loyal sponsor for the practicum. And what it was about was, because this was fixed income, they wanted the students to look at technical signals. This is both momentum and reversal signals. That is, when in fixed income, in currencies and in equities, this is very well established that momentum signals and reversal signals can be used by dealers. The question was to look at fixed income and see whether or not the same sorts of signals can be used, and also can you combine credit series to use something called co-integration and come up with a trading strategy. So what did they learn from this? They got a deep exposure to fixed income. They went down to New York to the trading desk maybe 3 times in 6 weeks. They met people on the trading desk. They met people in other parts of HSBC. The sponsors are very generous with their time. They learned about fixed income. They learned about using macro data to predict patterns. This is a very difficult area to do analytical work in. And obviously the programming was done in R so that the sponsor could use that. And, so usually it's either R or Python, but in this case, they wanted them to use R. So it was a, fairly intensive R programming. So I think this kind of wraps up my discussion of the projects, and happy to answer any questions.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Professors Rao and Chen, and of course, Heidi, our Assistant Dean. I hope that after hearing all of this great information about the MFin program and the benefits that it has to offer to you, you will be eager to enroll and join our powerful MIT network. MIT Sloan graduates are part of a network of over 24,000 leaders making their ideas matter in 90 countries around the world. This network is part of the larger MIT alumni network and has made a significant impact on global innovation. When you look at all of these put together, the 4.6 million jobs that have been created by our alums, they've launched more than 30,000 active companies. They've generated nearly $2 trillion in annual revenue. So taken together, we like to refer to them as our MIT nation, which is essentially the equivalent to the 10th largest economy in the world. So what I would like to do is talk to you a little bit about a profile of our current class of students, and then get into a little bit more around the admissions process, and then we will take some questions. I know we've been monitoring those, and so we'll be able to get to them shortly. When you look at the profile of our current class, about 111 students, those who become part of the MFin program join an elite group of talented students. The profile speaks to the quality of our class and is highly attractive to prospective employers. And all of this information, by the way, is available on our website as well. So I encourage you to take a look. So let's talk a little bit about the admissions process. Many prospective students ask what qualities we are looking for in our applicants. And what I can say to you is the most attractive candidates for admission to the MIT Sloan Master of Finance program have a diversity of strengths. The application process is designed to allow you to introduce yourself to us and to help us understand how you think, lead, and pursue your goals. We are ideally looking for students with 0 to 4 years of work experience from all different educational backgrounds. The admissions committee looks for a high-level excellence in test scores, grades, communication, leadership, teamwork, innovation, and professional experience. All of these things we've hopefully touched as part of the conversation today. An internship or previous work experience in the financial industry has also proven very helpful. So here's a checklist of all the materials that we require. What I really want to do is share my tips for you on the application process. So first and foremost, start the process early. You want your application to stand out, but not because it's missing information or it's poorly prepared. Putting together the best application does take time, research, and effort. It's important that you carefully select the people who will provide those letters of recommendation that we're asking for. There is a temptation, and I've been asked this many times when I'm on the road talking to prospects, to ask a high-profile person to be your recommender. But this is really not what we want to see if that person isn't someone who knows you well and knows your work. Keep in mind, we are not reviewing your recommenders, but we are reviewing what they say about your contributions, collaboration, and teamwork. Another tip is that I would encourage you to resist the urge to sort of create a story that you think we want to hear. We want to get to know you personally, so be authentic and be yourself. And finally, one of the other questions I get is, what can I do to prepare now? The good news is that admissions is here to help you. The best way to prepare is to get to know us. And there are many ways that you can do that. We have admissions events throughout the academic year. Our signature event is the Ambassadors Visitors Program, where you come to our campus, you get to hear a formal presentation from admissions, you can attend a class, and you can also have lunch with current students. So again, if you have the ability to be on the campus, it's a great way to experience what our students experience as well. There are many informational webinars such as this one. We have information sessions, again, on our campus. and a variety of online chats. Some of them are topic specific. So I would say stay connected. This is our contact information. If we don't get to all of the questions in this session, we will certainly be available. We answer your questions as quickly as possible when they come in. But again, I would say I would encourage you to take that next step. If you're a high achiever looking for a rewarding career in finance, we believe MFin may be for you. And the only way to find out is to apply. So we look forward to hearing from you. And now let's go ahead and see the questions that we have come in. Okay, so we have to all of the panelists. Okay, is it possible to be part of the program having knowledge on programming but not in machine learning? I'm eager to learn machine learning.
Okay, let me
Professor
start
Chen,
with that.
yes.
Yes. So, okay, thanks for the question. The answer is definitely yes. We're definitely not expecting our students coming into the program to have prior exposure or background already in machine learning. To the extent that you're seeing so much mentioning of these words, because I think we're seeing a lot of interest in our students. But it's definitely completely feasible, and in fact, very much works well with our program to have coming in with a strong background in programming, such that you can actually ease into the introductory machine learning courses pretty easily. We're going to provide you with both solid technical backgrounds as well as a lot of applications, and that's, we think, is the best way to learn about these kind of skills.
And a little bit to build on that, and Professor Chen, I'll direct this question to you. If I'm into quant development and want to move towards a more rigorous quant research and risk, can I structure my courses to add that skill set?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In a way, the way I presented our program curriculum was trying to highlight exactly that point, right? So we have a lot of flexibility on this in terms of building, starting with some core required courses, and then you can identify or express to us your interest in a particular direction and work with MFin advisors, work with the professors to actually have a very much tailored curriculum that suits your interest the best.
Okay, great. And so for Professor Rao, regarding the action learning projects, we have one person who's very interested in the corporate finance track or concentration and wants to break into investment banking after the MFin program. Would you please share some details of the sample investment banking corporate finance projects in action learning?
We'd be happy to share details. I think this webinar is focused on quant finance, so we can follow up offline. Definitely, if you reach out to admissions, we can definitely do that.
Okay, great. So then we also have a few questions on the. Let's see, take a look at this. So here's a question now, and for any of the panelists, thank you very much. Host, you have questions. Can a student test out of the required courses? Second, three-part question. What percentage of students opt for a concentration, and which one is the most popular? And what are some examples of recent student master's theses?
Okay, so again, let me give a shot to that. First of all, can you test out of the required courses? If I understand your question correctly, you're basically asking, if you take a waiver exam, would you be able to opt out of the required course? Is that my understanding? So our current way of structuring that, and Heidi can speak more to that. Our current requirements actually for the students. We have rarely seen any students essentially coming with a background such that they can actually skip entirely out of a required course, and that in fact is our arrangement. The students tend to find out that even if they come in with a strong background, let's say in math or in finance, they still find that they can learn a lot more from the say advanced version of the math course in the summer or the finance course we're offering here. These are graduate level courses. So I'll be very surprised that you will find nothing to learn there. But of course, if the situation is such that you really are in this very special category, then our program will do our best to cater to your needs. What are the other questions?
And let's see, what are some of the examples of recent student master's theses?
Oh, yes. So actually, maybe let me just tell you a little bit more about the one example I mentioned just now. One of the master's theses I have had the opportunity to supervise was a student who did an internship at a asset management firm during the summer, and he was put on the desk to actually do portfolio optimization. So this is basically where the fundamental research team have already extracted the signals and designed ways to do stock selection. And this team is in charge of basically how to construct the portfolio in the most effective way, in the sense of minimizing transaction costs, minimizing market impact, and deliver the best return risk trade-off for the clients. In doing so, he discovered that he actually has quite a bit of new things that he would like to learn, such as the skills in optimization, how to bring prediction and optimization in the same framework. In fact, that turned out to be one of the research areas that I'm working on. So the thesis was basically a nicely put together work on using some of the new techniques in reinforcement learning to try to bring together prediction and optimization. There are many other master thesis ideas, examples out there as well. In fact, I think it might be a good idea for us to circulate a list of such thesis topics, and for those of you who are interested in doing a thesis.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you, Professor Chen. So we have another question here regarding if I am a CFA charter holder, would the GMAT GRE requirement be waived? Yeah, and in this case, no, we really do require the GMAT or the GRE. We have absolutely no preference as to which one you take, and we assume that you're going to provide us with the highest score that you've achieved in one of those tests. You do self-report the score at the time of the application deadline, and maybe this is a good interjection point where I can mention in terms of the application. Another tip is don't rush to submit it unless you feel it's the strongest possible. Nothing will happen to your application before the January deadline. We wait until that. Post the January deadline, we have an admissions committee that reviews the applications, and then we invite a subset of the individuals who have submitted their application to actually interview with us one-on-one. We travel, the admissions representatives travel to hub cities around the globe. Typically those interviews occur during the month of February. And the interview is required if you are planning, and if we admit you to the program, we don't admit you unless you've had that interview. So that is something to think about just in terms of timing, and to give you a sense of, as you prepare your application materials, it really is important to spend some time on building it and ensuring that everything we need to know about you is included in the application, because nothing will happen before the January deadline, and we do not have a rolling admissions. So I think in terms of questions, we have pretty much covered the ones that I think we'll be able to answer in this session. If there are additional questions, I definitely encourage you to reach out to our MFin admissions at sloan.mit.edu email address, which is still on the screen. I promise you, it does not go into a black hole. We definitely answer those questions, and we would love to be able to hear from you. And again, please take a look at our admissions events. There's lots of information on the website that will help you to get a sense of the program, the benefits to you, and we look forward to you applying. And thank you again for joining us today.